I genuinely cannot believe Vingegaard said this after the Tour de France. Quote, "This is the podium I'm least happy with." Jonas Vingegaard, July 27th, 2025, standing in Paris soaking wet on the second step of the Tour de France podium after one of the most heroic injury comebacks in modern cycling. Now let's pause. Jonas, my guy, least happy? You almost died in April. You flew off your bike on a mountainous ditch during Itzulia Basque Country. You couldn't walk for weeks. The Tour de France was the last thing on anyone's mind except apparently yours, and now here you are on the second step of the greatest bike race in the world after one of the messiest lead-ins imaginable, and your main takeaway is disappointment. Cycling Twitter broke into flames when this quote hit the airwaves. Visma fans didn't know whether to send Jonas a hug or a brain scan, so in true concerned cycling uncle fashion, we're going to walk through 5 reasons why this should have been the podium that Jonas was most proud of, and why this IRS reaction is both baffling and oddly endearing. Section 1. Jonas, you were airlifted 4 months ago. Let's just start here because this isn't gossip or spin, it's fact. On April 4th, 2025, at the Itzulia Basque Country stage race, Vingegaard hit the tarmac in a brutal multi-rider crash. He broke multiple ribs, he punctured a lung, his collarbone broke like a, discount IKEA shelf. He was helicoptered off the mountain like a World War II evacuee, not a Tour de France contender. And yet, by July, not only had he made it to the start line in Florence, he had clawed his way through weeks of racing to finish second. That's not a good result. That is a miracle in my mind. That's the sort of plot arc that Disney turns into a feature-length emotional trauma rollercoaster with swelling violins and a tearful person whispering, "Papa, he did it." So when Jonas stood on the podium and said, quote, "This is the one I'm least happy with," the world collectively screamed, "Are you kidding me?" No, Jonas, you shouldn't be sad. You should be asking someone to wheel in the Nobel Prize for pain endurance and maybe a lifetime supply of bubble wrap. Or a therapist. Or both. Section 2. You barely trained and you still beat everyone else. Vingegaard's pre-tour training block was like watching a brick try to become a kite. He was seen taking ginger Zwift rides indoors in May, while Tadej Pogačar was soloing up Mont Grappa on live TV. Remco was doing backflips in altitude camps, Carlos Rodriguez was peaking, and Jonas, he was literally learning how to breathe again. To put it into perspective, in the months leading up to the tour, most GC riders average around 25,000 kilometers of racing and training combined. Vingegaard did something like 14,000, and that's not even enough to power a Greg Van season, let alone go toe-to-toe with Pogačar, the Slovenian space alien. And yet, despite the fact that he was essentially working with half the preparation of his rivals, Vingegaard still managed to stay within 1 minute 48 seconds of Pogačar, a man who's been destroying field after field all season and just casually did the Giro Tour double, like it was a neighbourhood crit. That kind of comeback isn't just admirable, it's legendary. It's Rocky Balboa. It's Lionel Messi playing a World Cup final with one leg. It's Tadej Pogačar accidentally pulling you up the Galabra and you just hanging on like a koala to a moving bus. Jonas didn't understand. He just doesn't get it. He broke logic, and the only thing he broke more was the patience of fans who were begging him to see it. Section 3. Your team is falling apart and you still held it together. Let's look at what Team Visma Leasebike gave Jonas this year. A weakened tour squad. Yep, it was a nightmare. But let's just say we won't go into huge details. They also gave him a change in leadership priorities. Rumours swirled all season about the team being for sale, budget issues, lost equipment sponsors, and internal restructuring. Not to mention Trine Vingegaard's public meltdown. Yes, Jonas's wife Trine made headlines when she told Danish media that Team Visma was overworking Jonas. She said, and this is not paraphrase, quote, "I want Jonas home more. They're asking too much of him. He's tired and this team doesn't understand family life." If that doesn't scream external stress, nothing does. And yet Jonas still went out and put on the most disciplined, measured, and almost robotic GC performance he could muster. He rode with surgical precision, he attacked only when it made sense, and despite Pogačar throwing crazy moments every second on the mountain stages, Jonas never cracked, even when he nearly wasn't at his 2022 or 2023 peak. The fact that he even made it to Paris without DNSing from exhaustion or family drama deserves a separate medal. Jonas, your team is barely functioning, your wife is throwing shade at your bosses, and you're out here finishing second in the Tour de France. Do you not see how incredible that is? Section 4. You are not Superman, and that's okay. Part of the issue here is Vingegaard's own standards. Let's be clear, he's been spoiled. In 2022, he crushed Pogačar on the Col de Granon and never looked back. In 2023, he vaporized the field in the time trial and rode the Alps like he was allergic to oxygen. So maybe in his mind, second place now feels like failure. But that's not just harsh, it's delusional. This wasn't a normal year. It wasn't a normal tour. The calendar was pushed forward for the Olympics, shortening recovery. The course was brutal and unforgiving, and the competition? Pogačar arrived in crazy form, winning Giro races like a cartoon villain, and still having the legs to outsprint everyone in July. Not to mention, Carlos Rodriguez, João Almeida, Remco Evenepoel and Primož Roglič were all lurking like wolves in the GC top 10, ready to pounce if Jonas even blinked. You can't be Superman every year. Sometimes you're just Clark Kent, with a few broken ribs and a punctured lung and a disappointed wife, and a teammate trying to sprint while eating a baguette. That's still good, in fact. It's amazing. Section 5. Your fans are proud even if you're not. Let's talk about the people who matter most, the fans. The Danish public still worshipped Jonas. Danish flags were flying all over Paris, even when it was raining sideways. People cried when he rolled into the Champs-Élysées. Kids held up signs saying #2 and still our hero. The cycling world recognised what he did after the awful year he's had. Because deep down, we all saw what this year really was for Vingegaard. It was a fight for dignity, a fight for resilience, a way for him to prove that he's not just a product of marginal gains in altitude camps. He's a human being who can survive hell and still ride into Paris with his head held high. If finishing second after the worst season of your life is your worst podium, then maybe it's time to refrain what success actually looks like. Sometimes success is not beating Pogačar. Sometimes success is just not falling apart. And you, Jonas Vingegaard, are very much still together. Thank you for watching today's video. If you're new here to my channel, please subscribe to stay up to date with all of the latest cycling news, cycling drama and cycling results. Leave a like on today's video for good luck, and don't forget to comment down what you think about this in my comment section down below this video. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts.